All right, up next, Arthur. Skabam. General review would be great. You want to be a texture-based environment artist. So it's all materials for you. You're doing some stylized stuff. You got a compass, special order, which, oh, dude, that's awesome. Man, these robots. Dude, that's kind of cool. It's just, I guess it's a matter of getting them to be separated from the scene. So like if the scene was colder or they were colder in their materials, right? Then you get that separation. Right now, as it stands, it's kind of hard to read between the two. But if you're focused on being a material artist, it's time to go ham. Like just go crazy. Like this looks pretty cool. Add another element in there. Yeah, add another element in this, like maybe a twig layer or something like that. Occasionally a stick or something. And then it's really about like honestly, I think when it comes to, for me personally, seeing a material artist portfolio where they're going into the weird. Like they're experimenting, they're making materials that you don't think about. Like when I saw ice cream on a cone materials, I was like, dude, this is where it's at, man. That's pretty cool. And then you start seeing like alien skin. You start seeing scales or like I want to see a bunch of studies and find out like maybe showing you've got stylized stuff here, right? Do you want to be doing stylized or do you want to be doing realistic? Because like if you can focus on one, you can like hammer that home whenever you're working on materials, right? This material right here just shows that you're like you're still getting used to materials, in my opinion. Like the way it's layered, the bricks are all kind of the same depth. The grout, there's some patterns that are kind of bleeding over from one piece to the next. The grout in the inside is kind of the same throughout. So there's not a lot of character or like a sense of materials being pushed around to actually create the brick wall, right? Which is probably one of the harder parts of making materials, is really kind of pushing that look of this was constructed, not made with nodes, if that makes sense. Like the breakup on the edge of the brick is pretty continuous and even throughout. So watching out for those types of pitfalls and really, really looking at references closely. Like you want to be a material artist, to go outside with a water bottle and spray surfaces, take pictures of them dry, and then make them wet and take pictures of that. Just seeing like, I think the next big thing for materials, honestly, is porosity. You guys have heard me say it before on stream. I think porosity is where materials can expand. Yeah, the presentation is good, and it's just the material is not holding up to the presentation. So there's nothing wrong with your presentation. So like these little porous holes here, one thing to be really careful about with ambient occlusion. Let's we'll bring this into Photoshop here. So if you're to take, that's not what we want. If you're to take this and we blur it, I don't know if this is going to work with so you can see as we blur, if you blur a lot, right? That value there, that's that gray, right? You don't want your ambient occlusion to be that gray when it gets raggedy. Dude, yeah, we need it, man. I know. I need to grab it off Discord and then upload it to Twitch. So if this is your average color of your ambient occlusion on a material, you get really far away from it and the material's still loaded, the ambient occlusion is going to mip down to this value. And when the building is in shadow, it'll be this much darker on top of your albedo. So think about that when you're like when you're trying to push ambient occlusion details. I don't know how many people think about that stuff. It's really, really important. So for example, like all of your bricks here should probably be, for the most part, be pretty light. And it's in here that you're going to be getting your AO is going to be around this area. Or sorry, in these areas, like contact points. So there's going to be more gradient in here. Ultimate tip with AO. Yeah, because AO shows up when you're in shadow, right? If it mips down and the average color is dark, it's just going to get really dark. Big brain AO. Sure. Let's see. So if you were to take it and maybe like, let's say that's pretty extreme. But then if you were to blur that, that's the gray you're playing with at that point, right? That's going to be a big difference. Anywho. Yeah, I think it's about getting back to this. It's more about the way you're constructing your materials and understanding how those work. This one's really cool, and in this sense, it's really understanding like how to layer things, right? So the main reason people are doing this material is it really shows your understanding of being able to layer shapes on top of each other and not having them look weird. For example, the leaves here, for the most part, they look okay. In some cases, that you can see them kind of getting caught in areas where they kind of break the illusion. And to get away from that, you can use the branches to mask them so that sometimes they show up less on where the branches are at. Or having them warp and conform to everything less, or mixing more of their curve in their height map to the surfaces below them. You're going to get a more accurate representation. But I mean, I think with this one, you probably need to be looking at how these shapes are being formed and what makes them look real. Dude, that angle looks pretty cool. There's a lot of like root patterns that I'm seeing that just kind of feel strange to me. And I guess it's stuff like where they cross into each other and whatnot. Dude, these materials are really interesting. That's cool. But yeah, I would say, I also got a rock steady. See, the other thing is I would just go with consistency for your thumbnails. Just go with the spheres. Go with the spheres or go with this shape. And maybe unify your backgrounds. Like, what is it? Alex's or Ben Wilson's. Ben Wilson's, since we did his last review, his is really, like, look how clean that is. See, and he's getting into the weird. He's getting into these shapes where you're like, he's exploring. And even found out how to make this material work on a sphere. Sometimes it gets a little wonky, but I think being able to present your materials in a clean way like this is really nice. Yeah. Anyways, I would probably, if you want to be a material artist, go nuts, man. And I probably wouldn't have these here. Maybe put them in a blog somewhere. Yeah. Good stuff. I look forward to seeing more of your materials as you continue to grow as a material artist. And you will get there. It's just a matter of trial and error and practice. Yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing your portfolio, Arthur.